the Executive Council of Tuskegee University. Ladies and gentlemen, the academic deans of Tuskegee University. Ladies and gentlemen, the esteemed faculty of Tuskegee University. now, ladies and gentlemen, the 7th President of Tuskegee University, Dr. Brian L. Johnson and Platform Party.
Good morning. If you will please remain standing, we'll have our invocation by the Dean of the Chapel, Gregory Gray.
Let us receive the invocation. O Lord our God, we come to this Founders Day convocation with yesterday's memories and today's opportunities and tomorrow's possibilities. We come reuniting with others, recalling the experiences, revisiting the places, retracing the steps, reclaiming a shared identity. But not only this, we also come to reestablish our roots, to rekindle our convictions, to re-embrace our basic values, and to rededicate our lives. May this Founders Day express an unwavering commitment to what Tuskegee University has to offer not only this society, but the world, in teaching, in research, in service. For the sake of a tradition of a more excellent way, we pray. Let the people of God say amen. Amen. Let us remain standing for the singing of Great Is Thy Faithfulness.
You may be seated. At this time, we'll have greetings from the Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Major Retired General and Tuskegee University alumnus, Charles Williams, and also our 2014-2015 Miss Tuskegee University, Tequila Celestine. Good morning, all. To President Johnson, guests of the dais, members of the Board of Trustees, government, state, local officials, faculty, staff, students, alumni, and particular those from class, those 80 years, 35 through 75. Special welcome and greeting to you. Mrs. Johnson, our First Lady, my wife, visitors, and friends. I bring you greetings and best wishes on this beautiful Founders Day. This beloved place, these beautiful grounds, were selected by our founder, Booker T. Washington, close to 135 years ago. There's something special about this campus that charges one's soul. Our founder that we honor today was focused from the beginning of his stewardship at this great institution. So much so that on the June 28th, it's been recorded that 1881, about a week prior to July 4th, he said, writing being concerned, a little concerned letter to his friend, saying that I will open school the first Monday in July, and judging from the present prospects, I shall have about 30 students on the first day and expect a steady increase going forward. Now, as today, when we reflect upon the institutional assets that were available to our founder on that Monday morning, it consisted of a dilapidated hen house and the occasional use of portions of the church for an assembly. And then fast forward in 34 years that he served this institution. Those same assets consisted of 1,500 students, over 100 buildings, a $2 million endowment, 2,500 acres of property, and a staff was slightly over 200. That is what he left us about 100 years ago. So, my friends, it becomes crystal clear that this house is the house that Booker built. Enjoy your visit, and thank you very much.
Good morning. I am Tequila Celestine, a senior social work major from Los Angeles, California, and I have the pleasure of serving you and Mother Tuskegee as the 85th Miss Tuskegee University for the 2014-2015 school year. To my dear alumni, we are delighted that you have come back home and reconnected with your alma mater for our 98th annual Founders Day celebration. I hope you felt right at home during our event-packed weekend. Throughout this weekend, you reacted your Tuskegee University experience through a night of ball and parlay at our reunion gala, a day of service to the university at the Tuskegee National Alumni Association's Day of Service, and listening to the angelic voices and instrumentals of Tuskegee University's Golden Voices Choir and Marching Crimson Piper Band. 2 nights ago, at the reunion gala, I was speaking to the chairman of the Board of Trustees, General Charles E. Williams' wife, Mrs. Williams, and to the National Alumni Association president, Mr. Walter Wortham, about their experience at Tuskegee University. After hearing both stories and evaluating my own Tuskegee experience, we came to the conclusion that when classes from 1960 through 2015 have similar stories about how Tuskegee University has molded us into the people we are today, we came to the conclusion that the power of Mother Tuskegee and the legacy of Booker T. Washington is real. Now, as we conclude our Founders Day weekend festivities, we present to you the Founders Day Convocation. I hope you all have enjoyed your stay at Tuskegee University. Please feel free to relax, to reminisce, and enjoy this morning's convocation. Thank you.
At this time, we'll have a selection from the Tuskegee University Golden Voices Choir. Thank you, Mr. Barr and the Tuskegee University Golden Voices Choir. If you did not have the opportunity and the pleasure to join us on last evening, you missed a real treat from not only our distinguished Golden Voices, but also representatives from Alabama State, Florida A&M, as well as Claflin University. They truly blessed our souls. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our guest speaker. I met him at Fall, and at that time, I was immediately struck by his impressive credentials and the benefit that he could bring to Tuskegee University. Robert Kerbeen is Vice President of Mission Assurance, Quality, and Raytheon Six Sigma for Raytheon Integrated Defense Systems, IDS. Raytheon Company, with 2014 sales of $23 billion and 61,000 employees worldwide, is a technology and innovation leader specializing in defense, security, and civil markets throughout the world. It's headquartered in Waltham, Massachusetts. Headquartered in Tewksbury, Massachusetts, IDS has 28 locations around the world. Its broad portfolio of weapons, sensors, and integration systems supports its customer service base across multiple mission areas, including air and missile defense systems. In this role, Mr. Kerbeen is responsible for the development and integration of Raytheon's mission assurance roadmap, execution of the quality management system, and continuous improvement across the business. He provides leadership across all levels of Raytheon to ensure flawless program execution and total customer service satisfaction. He is a proven leader in quality assurance, business management, and customer relations. Before joining Raytheon, he was the president of the Aerospace and Defense Division for ARES Corporation, responsible for business development and driving profit for non-operations. Prior to ARES, Kerbeen was an astronaut with National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. He held a wide range of positions with NASA as a director of safety, reliability, and quality assurance for the Constellation program, deputy director of flight crew operations, and spacecraft communicator, Capcom branch chief. Kerbeen was second in command for safety across NASA as the Deputy Associate Administrator of Safety and Mission Assurance at NASA headquarters. During his tenure with NASA, he served on 3 space shuttle missions and 7 spacewalks. Kerbeen retired from the U.S. Navy after 23 years of service. He's a graduate of the Navy Fighter Weapons School, Top Gun, and Navy Test Pilot School. He was the lead project manager officer for the F-14 air-to-ground weapons separation flight test program and logged more than 3,000 flight hours in 25 different aircraft and spacecraft. He holds an advanced degree in aeronautical and astronautical engineering and master's of science degree in aeronautical engineering from the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California. He received his bachelor degree with merit in aerospace engineering from the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. I could think of no one better on this Founders Day to speak about Tuskegee's tradition and also its trajectory. Without further ado, Mr. Kerbeen.
Well, good morning. First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me here to speak today. I'm proud, I'm honored, I'm humbled. I know what this day means to you guys, and I can't imagine a better way to spend a day but to get to talk to you guys about a little bit about my experience, and I also want to talk to you a little bit about leadership. And I know some of the alumni may sit here and go, well, you know, I'm pretty much towards the sunset of my career, but that doesn't mean that you aren't still leaders. You're still a part of what this institution is, what it does, and how it helps this country. And for the students, well, hopefully this is a little bit of a roadmap to tell you how you will help this country and how important it is that you do it. I want to start out by saying, you know, one of the key prerequisites to a great leader, if you want to be a good leader, you look at them across this country, across the world, they're all successful people, very successful people. And success isn't easy, but
almost everyone you look at has those three basic tenets. They have those three basic things in being successful that they will tell you contributed to their success. One is they were all educated. And as my mother used to always tell me, education is never time wasted. You don't know when you're going to use that information. You don't even know if you're going to use that information, but having it is very, very important. I can remember many, many times when I knew something only through the experience that I had at the different schools I went to, and all of a sudden, in the most unlikely places, it becomes useful to me. And at those times, you can't go back and run back and remember it, then you got to get it the first time through, and then you can use it. The other one is hard work. There is not one successful person in this country that hasn't gotten there through hard work, because anything worth having is something that's wanted by many. So then, if all other things are equal, it comes down to who's willing to work the hardest to get it. Right? And the last is perseverance, because all successful people have failed somewhere along the line. I feel like I'm a successful person because I've been able to experience a lot of the things that I wanted to. I've been able to reach a lot of my goals, but believe me, it was not without many failures along the way. But if you persevere, if you're the kind of person that wants to try again, willing to accept that failure and move on, well, that is what will truly make you successful. And the Tuskegee experience teaches you all of that. And it's an important foundation, but it is not the end result. This is the start. This is where you start, and Tuskegee is recognized, especially among our people, as a leader in establishing that foundation for people who want to be successful and want to be leaders, like you will be and you are. So, what kinds of traits do true leaders have? If you want to be a leader in this country, in this world, somebody who inspires others to reach their potential and do great things, what kinds of things do you need to do moving forward once you have this education, this hard work ethic, this perseverance that Tuskegee teaches you? Well, I've got three things that I want you to think about. Throughout your journey of success and leadership, you need to listen, you need to learn, and you need to be lucky. You need to be lucky. So let's talk about listening. The most important one is first, you need to listen. The one thing you will find out when you leave here is although you may think you know everything, you do not know everything. I thought I did. I'm a perfect example. I got out of the Naval Academy. I was an aerospace engineer. I was a good one. And I thought I knew everything. Well, it probably took about 2 months in flight school to figure out that I did not know everything. I certainly was not the best person in the class, but I damn sure was going to be. I decided that I was going to work hard and be that kind of person. I listened. And probably one lesson that I learned that has carried me through this is, like I said, you never know when the next great idea is going to come and who it's going to come from. Last July, I came to this campus and I visited with Dean Burge. We had met before, but I became the campus rep for Raytheon. And I walked around and he took me through all the engineering labs, and they also took me to the business school. Wait a minute, Tuskegee's an engineering school, right? You guys don't have a business school. Well, in fact, you do. And you got a veterinary school and a nursing school. I listened all day because I did not know. And then he showed me a lab that I had no idea that any college had, and that was a corrosion lab. And guess what? Guess what Raytheon has a problem with? Corrosion. We build a lot of things that go a lot of places in environments that are very, very difficult to maintain our equipment. And we found out that, hey, they wanted to do some research that we were very, very thankful to get the results from. Imagine that. So by listening to what he had to say, instead of going with my preconceived notion about what Tuskegee was all about, I learned that I had a great asset in this university. And we're in the process of making that agreement formal so we can actually have students here do research that will help us. And that came from listening. The next one is learning, and it's an integral part of that listening. Like I said, I didn't know everything when I got out of college. I thought I did, but I didn't. But learning is a lifelong endeavor. No matter who you are, no matter what you are, no matter what you do, you will always learn. You learn how to learn here, you'll practice it throughout your leadership experience. The first thing you need to do when you go and assume those leadership positions is learn what your people do, how they do it, when they do it, why they do it. When you do that, that enables you to be the leader that they need. Because now they want to tell you. They want you to know what's important to them. They want you to help them. But you can't do it if you don't learn the craft. And you will be learning for the rest of your life. It's important if you're going to be a good leader. When I took over the Capcom branch, which the president alluded to earlier, Capcom branch is a group of astronauts that sit in mission control, and they talk to the astronauts who are on orbit. And that was a job I had had before, but then I became the leader of the branch after my second flight. Well, of course, I knew everything, right? I'd done the job. But I didn't. The job had changed. We had added a new spacecraft onto the responsibility of being a Capcom, or what we call spacecraft communicator. We had a new spacecraft. We had new astronauts who were in the office. And it was important that I learn from the people who were doing the job then how to be their leader. It was very, very important to learn from them what they did and how they did it. Find out the hours that they were working. Find out what they didn't like about it. Because it had gone from a position of Capcom being the person who was responsible for communication to space that everybody wanted to do to a branch that nobody wanted to be in. And I was determined as a leader to change that. But I couldn't do it without first learning what was wrong. Because to me, it hadn't changed, but it had. So learning is always important. And the last, and probably the least important, but the one you can start on now, is to be lucky. Be lucky. And people always say, how can I be lucky? Well, it depends on how you define luck. A friend of mine and I were talking yesterday, and when I told him, I said, you know, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. That's luck. You're preparing yourself now, but once again, it's something you're going to have to do for the rest of your life. You always have to prepare for that opportunity to come. Because as my mother also said to me, when opportunity knocks, it knocks very softly. And you have to recognize it. And it's not easy to recognize the opportunities. But when they come, you have to seize them. You have to be willing to take the job that someone else didn't want to take because it was too hard. But you know that it's going to help you in the long run. You've got to be able to recognize opportunities that will not only pay off in the short term for you, but in the long term for you. When I was in test pilot school, I was fortunate enough to take a field trip. And that field trip was to the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. When I went down there, I met this wonderful woman. Her name was Kathy Thornton. And she stood in front of our whole test pilot school class, and she showed us a film, a video. And that video was about her first space flight. And I said, wow, that's pretty interesting. And then I was lucky enough to sit across from her at lunch. And I listened to her and I go, wait a minute, I want to be like her. She looks like she's having fun. She's doing something really interesting. I want to do what she does. And so after we took the field trip, I went to my mentor. My mentor was a man named Dave Kennedy, and he was at test pilot school. And I said, what do I have to do to make this happen? What do I have to do to be eligible? And he sat there and he looked through what I'd had. I had 2 graduate degrees in aerospace engineering. As a Naval Academy grad, had a lot of flight time in the F-14 at that point. And he goes, you know what? He goes, you're qualified. He goes, you should apply next time. Now, did I have all that in mind when I was doing those things, preparing myself for that opportunity? No. I was going to get out of the Navy and be an aerospace engineer. I was an engineer. That's what I love doing. But when the opportunity presented itself, because I had prepared myself before, I was eligible to do this. These are the kinds of things that we have to think about all the time. What you're learning and what you're doing right now might not be applicable to what's next, but maybe it's applicable to what's after what's next. Maybe it's applicable and will help you 10, 20, 30 years from now. That's what's important. Prepare yourself now for today, next year, next decade, for a lifetime. Now, I am, like I said, humbled to be here, because not far from here, the Tuskegee Airmen paved the way for me, so I could do the things that I wanted to do. And I want you to do the same for someone else. Thank you.
I don't think we fully appreciate what we have just witnessed and observed. A man whose credentials surpass many of us, including myself in this room, tearing at the thought of being not merely 5 miles away from the place where Tuskegee Airmen in this very community led not only this community, this county, this state, this nation, this world, with tears in his eyes. That is passion. That's integrity. That's knowledge. And that's a man who will go on, I'm sure, to do many, many, many more great things in his life. And I salute you, my brother. At this time, I'd like for the Tuskegee University Golden Voices Choir to bless us with another selection.
Good morning. I invite our choir alumni to join us, please, for the singing of Ain't That Good News.
I always believed that superheroes should have their own theme music, and they should always have their musical accompaniments with them. And so Tuskegee University, as a hero, certainly has a wonderful accompaniment with the Tuskegee University Golden Voices Choir. So let's just thank them once again for blessing us on this day. At this time, I would like for the Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Major Retired General Charles Williams, the Provost, Caesar Furman, and Trustee Emeritus, Stephen Cantor, to join us for this conferring of a very special degree. For many years, Trustee Cantor, you served at the helm of the Finance Committee of the Tuskegee University Board of Trustees, where you oversaw all financial operations and contingencies, safeguarding all aspects of the university's financial health and well-being. When it became necessary to make strategic decisions regarding resource development for critical operations, you stepped out in the leadership role to formalize this process. You rendered faithful, conscientious, and valuable service to that committee and to this institution for almost 3 decades, and we are grateful. You're a strong advocate that wealth and power are predicated upon knowledge, creativity, and global communications. Therefore, for the past 40 or more years, you have held and had fiduciary experiences as a portfolio manager and senior executive in investment management, currently serving as a managing director of Zephyr Management, IP, as an investment management firm specializing in private equity investing in the developing world. You have also served as chairman and chief executive officer of the Dreyfus Corporation and as vice chairman of the Mellon Financial Corporation, where you manage from the belief that knowledge trapped within the employee base must be leveraged to the organizational level where it can be accessed, synthesized, augmented, and deployed for the benefit of all. You are certainly among those executives who recognize that knowledge and learning represent the preeminent source of sustainable advantage in a fast-moving, highly competitive world. Consequently, you were well prepared for this diverse career, having obtained the AB degree from Cornell University and an MBA from Columbia University Graduate School of Business. Additionally, your career has included serving as Chief Executive Officer of the Kleinworth Benjamin Investment Management America, Mitchell Hutchins Institutional Investments, and Chase Investors Management Corporation. Yours has indeed been a life of prominent moves and career advancement. When you decided it was time to retire from our Tuskegee University Board of Trustees, you found yourself reinvesting your resources, energy, and time into another venture, while also serving as a member of the CFA Institute, New York Society of Security Analytics, and the Economic Club of New York. You also serve on the board of directors of the Bento Kennedy Group and the John F. Kennedy Library Foundation, amongst others. Yours is a well-rounded life of caring and sharing. Your humanitarianism and inspiring efforts during this past capital campaign to support scholarship, research, and building maintenance is another testimonial of your commitment to this institution and to its mission. For that, we are also grateful. Therefore, on this April 2015 Founders Day, in the centennial year since the passing of Booker T. Washington in 1915, in recognition of your many services to this institution, this community, this state, and this nation, and on behalf of the Tuskegee University Board of Trustees and the university, I'm pleased to award you this honorary degree, Doctor of Laws, with all the rights and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations, Trustee Cantor.
Good morning. I humbly accept this honorary degree. I'm very gratified to receive it. I have great respect for this wonderful university and its wise founder, Booker T. Washington. His founding vision and commitment to serving mankind is the enduring bedrock of Tuskegee University. While Tuskegee's curriculum has evolved with changes, advancements in the sciences, technologies, and commerce, its core mission and its core values are as relevant on this April day in 2015 as they were on Tuskegee's founding day in 1881. It has been my great privilege to serve on Tuskegee's Board of Trustees for 27 years. I thank Tuskegee for that opportunity, and I thank Tuskegee for this honorary degree today. Thank you all.
At this time, we would like to offer several recognitions. At this time, will the family of Lewis Adams please stand? The family of Lewis Adams, please stand. If there are any in attendance. We know, if you are not familiar, that it was the citizens of Tuskegee, the county, a strong town, a strong county, consisting of entrepreneurs, the modern-day equivalent of venture capitalists, ministers, businessmen of sound integrity and knowledge, who made the call, the clarion call to Hampton University, to General Samuel Armstrong, and who also petitioned the state of Alabama to build us an institution here on these sacred grounds. The role of Lewis Adams and George Campbell in initiating this request preceded the arrival of the founding principal and president of Tuskegee University, Booker T. Washington, who we honor on this day. But on this moment and at this time, let us not fail to acknowledge the contributions of Lewis Adams and George Campbell and the citizens of Tuskegee University. One need not fail to remember that a town-gown relationship was rooted in that very idea, that the city was strong and it made for a strong university. And so we welcome in this centennial year a reapproach, a reimagining of how this institution was founded and how this institution will fulfill its mission. Next, please join me, the family members of our beloved founding principal and president, the first president of Tuskegee University. Will the family members of Booker T. Washington please stand? Well, see, I'm not quite sure why everybody's standing, but I would like for everybody to give this family a standing ovation in the view of the fact that this is the centennial year since the passing of the founding principal and president of Tuskegee University. Now, I know that I'm a stickler for history and reading and living and learning and leading. And I know that sometimes I can hearken back to the days of old. But it seems to me that we talk a great deal about history, but oftentimes when history is right in our face, we tend to ignore it. It makes me wonder sometimes whether if Booker T. Washington was alive today, how would we regard him? If he asked us to do some of the things that I have read and I have written about. To this family, when I began my tenure here, announced on April 28, 2014, signed my contract in the presence of the chairman of the Board of Trustees and as well as Trustee Cantor on April 30th. Arrived here on June 13th, 2014. I committed myself to learn all that I could about your progenitor, Booker T. Washington. In 21st century terms, we like to come up with slangs, but I want you to know when I wake up every day, I say, I'm not going to have Booker T. mad at me. Now, you can all be mad, but that's one person I'm never going to worry about being mad. And so when I took to writing correspondence by looking at what this man did, many individuals know him as a leader and a political leader, and we know him in terms of all of these things, but I said, I actually want to read what the man himself said. I don't want to hear third and fourth party issues about what someone said he said, but I actually like to operate from a knowledge-based construct. So when I read his first letters, the chairman offered one that on June 28th, and he made mention of the fact that he arrived on the day prior, I said, I need to read day by day what this man did to build this university over a 34-year period. And it was only after I began to do this that I said, I'm not the only one that needs to understand what this man did. In 34 years, he built an institution of 1,500 students. 34 years. When he passed in 1915, there were 1,500 students. This institution has only doubled in 100 years. This man will forever be remembered by this president as well as any other president in Tuskegee University's history, and I honor you, this family, on this day. At this time, I would like for Dr. Ernell C., the interim alumni affairs coordinator, to come up to acknowledge the reunion classes. And shortly thereafter, we'll acknowledge the Tuskegee University National Alumni Association President, Mr. Walter Worthing, who will give greetings on behalf of Tuskegee University's Alumni Association.
Good morning. This weekend we have had a great time with alumni. I have noted all the good things. I have noted all the things that you want me to change, the good and the bad things. I have noted everything that you want to take in consideration for future plans for next Founders Day. I thank you for engaging with the students. The students have sent me emails. They want to thank you for giving them gifts during the weekend. One student stated that she was from California and you put money in her pocket. I'm not sure which alumni did that, but she wanted me to thank you in person this morning. Right now, we would like all the class agents to line up. Class of 1940, just come along. If you're a class agent, can you line up along the wall here? Class of 1935 is not here, so we're going to start with class of 1940, Dr. Mann. Can the class of 1940 please rise? You can just tell them how much you gave.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the class of 1940, I'm happy to present the gift to Tuskegee University in the amount of $5,000.
Class of 1945, Mrs. Helen Brights.
Good morning. On behalf of the class of 1945, we are happy to present $3,872.
Class of 1950, Mr. Hezekiah Brown.
I'm happy to present $45,662.
Class of 1955, Mrs. Murphy.
Mr. President, Agent Richard Bowman and I would like to have our class of 1955 to please stand. And we are very happy to present to you $20,035.
Class of 1960, Ms. Lua Wiggum Marable.
Good morning. I have the pleasure of presenting to the President on behalf of the class of 1960. With the class of 1960, please stand. On behalf of my co-class agent who was not able to be here today, Mrs. Shazine Turner, and on behalf of the class of 1960, the class which we quote to be the proud, the bold, and the beautiful. I have the pleasure of presenting to you, Mr. President, the amount of $61,000. $277.
The class of 1965, Ms. Mamie Cook.
Mr. President, the program shows you that 10 years ago, one of our classmates, Miss Bessie McDowell Stevens, was the speaker for this occasion. Would you please stand, Bess? She received an honorary degree that day. Would the rest of the class of 1965 please stand? Mr. President, the best class, the class of 1965, wishes to present you this check in the amount of $39,205.
The class of 1970, Helen Howard.
Good morning. Will the class from Tuskegee Institute, now University, of 1970, please stand? We may be small in number this weekend, but we are great in heart, and we wish to present to you, Dr. Johnson, and the university, $36,245.
The class of 1975, Dr. Loretta Hicks.
Good morning. My name is Loretta Hicks, and I am a 75 graduate in food science. I am currently a family physician in Atlanta, Georgia. I have 3 points to make today. The first one is that I served in the United States Navy first, and then retired from the United States Air Force. And I would like all veterans in this building, including ROTC, to stand and salute our speaker today. Thank you very much. My second point is in 2013, the National Alumni Association, under the presidency of Walter Worthen, was gracious enough to adopt a simple idea, to have an Alumni National Day of Service. And in 2014, that program materialized. And I am here to say that in 2014, over 300 alumni, volunteers, families, and friends, which included our Board of Trustees, Major General and Mrs. Williams, faculty, staff, students. Our SGA president is Mr. White here. He was in attendance, and students from across all colleges. We had faculty both from food and nutritional science, who was also an alumni, as well as architecture, and students, athletes, and all across the colleges that participated in that effort. I bring that up for one reason. One, it's a brainchild of the class of 75. But I bring that up as a challenge to students currently here who will be graduating and those who will be moving on and not necessarily graduating. But it represents one thing, and that's the thing I want to make clear to everyone. It represents our way of saying thank you to Mother Tuskegee. It is saying thank you in the currency. The currency is service. And we want our students to know that service is as viable as the US dollar. So thank you to all who participated in 2014, those who participated in 2015. Thanks to Ms. Karen Keenan, who was the project officer for the Tuskegee University Beautification Project. But thank you to all who participated. And in 2014, there were over 300 volunteers who served over 800 service hours. So thank you very much. As a class agent for the class of 1975, will you please stand, Ms. Carol King Burton from Montgomery, Alabama. My husband, Alvin Hicks, and the class of 1975, please stand, the greatest class ever. And we are proud to provide to the university the beginning of major donations in the future, $39,555.
Okay. President Johnson, can I have all the reunion classes please stand at this time? On behalf of all the reunion classes, to add to Pillar 4 of your vision statement, we would like to give you a total of $259,902.
Okay, all right.
Prior to introducing Mr. Wortham, I'd like to do something that I always do on Founders Day. I do not want to thank these classes as a whole conglomerate. I don't want to thank these classes with the total amount of numbers, but I want to thank these classes individually. If you do not understand that Tuskegee University has survived, will continue to survive, based on the faithful, consistent giving of its alumni, then I do not know if you recognize the role of the sons and daughters of Mother Tuskegee. So I'd like to thank the class of 1935 for your gift, the class of 1940 for your gift, the class of 1945 for your gift, the class of 1950 for your gift. I'd like to thank the class of 1955 for your gift. I'd like to thank the class of 1960 for your gift. I'd like to thank the class of 1970 for your gift. I'd like to thank the class of 1975 for your gift. I'd like to thank every other alumni whose class was not recognized on this weekend and you gave. I am thanking you personally for this gift. And I'm not only thanking you for this gift, I'm assuring you that this gift will be properly stewarded over. You will know where the money goes, when the money goes, and how it goes. This is how this institution will be ran. You can always call, find out how did we use it and when did we use it. And even as they mentioned, Pillar 4, this institution, on this centennial year since the passing of Booker T. Washington, and his family knows and hears, is committed to restoring, repairing, and rebuilding the buildings that Booker T. Washington built at this institution. We're going to do this for our faculty members in their research in their classrooms, and we're going to do this for our students. And these gifts on this weekend assist us towards that end. So once again, this Tuskegee University community thanks you. At this time, I'd like to bring to the podium Mr. Walter Wortham, President, Tuskegee National Alumni Association. Mr. Wortham.
You can do better than that. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. To Mrs. Williams, Mrs. Johnson, Mrs. Tuskegee, General Williams, President Johnson, and our special guests. Good morning to all of you all. On behalf of our Tuskegee Alumni Association Executive Board and all alumni, I would like to welcome you to this Founders Day. And do we have any of our executive board members present? Would you please stand? It's the leadership of our National Association. And we've been meeting here this weekend. We meet every Founders Day weekend. And we've been working hard for you to assure ourselves that the future of the university will continue in a very good light. I would like to make just a couple of comments. First of all, let me see all our Tuskegee alum, everyone that graduated from the university, please just stand up. Stretch yourself up. Come on, let's look at you. Let's look at you. See how good you look. That's what I'm talking about. Right. So this is what we are all, this is what we are about. It really is. But I want to take just a moment just to say a couple of things briefly here. And one of them is that sometimes I think we may forget some things that's very important. And if you really think about 1881, when Booker T. Washington came down and he founded the university, do we realize that that was the beginning of the Civil War? I mean, just think about it. Civil War, coming to Alabama, starting a school for Negroes, as they said. Just think about it. Just think about how difficult that really must have been. You know, we may take it for granted, but just think about the difficulty of this now. We all have seen pictures of the Civil War and so forth, so we know that it was very difficult. And sometimes I think we don't think about that. We may take it for granted that he rode down here on the white horse and, said, here we are, okay, let's go. No, it wasn't like that. And then I want you to fast forward a little bit to 1885. In 1885, they were really wrapping up the Civil War. I believe just a few days ago, it was the 100th anniversary, I believe, of Appomattox, when Lee surrendered to Grant. But there was also the year of the first graduating class of Tuskegee. That was also the first year and the founding of our Alumni Association in 1885. It was the beginning of graduates of Tuskegee University where even at that point, let's think about the difficulty of it now, 1885, that they said to themselves that this place is something special, and it's up to us to make sure that it's continued. So that graduating class formed the National Alumni Association, and they started to say that we exist for two reasons. The first reason is to give back of our resources to the university so that it can continue to exist for others that's coming behind them. The second reason was say, we're going to go out and we're going to help Dr. Washington to recruit good students to come to this great place so that it can continue to this day. we stand steadfast on those two things, to give back to our university and to help our university by recruiting students. This is just an example of our giving back today, over $200,000. This is something that we must continue. I dare say that in all the years that have passed, there has been some things that have kept Tuskegee going. One thing is that we have always had matching leadership for matching times. And I dare say to you that you saw your president up here with his iPad and his, of course, I'm still a paper man, but he was up here matching leadership for matching times. We have. We also have to have matching giving for matching times. And I stand before you and say that as Tuskegee alumni, we will get to the point where we will give back to the university 100%. And I'm going to tell you how we're going to do this. We're going to do this because every alumnus that's out in the audience here now, they're going to go back and they're not going to be afraid to tell that classmate or that alumnus that they talk to, say, have you given back? And you want an answer, and if they haven't, you say, well, you need to give back. We're going to cut the rhetoric. You just say you need to give back to the university. And with us spreading this word, we're going to reach that point to where every Tuskegee alum will have given back to the university. Amounts, I'm not concerned about it because I don't get into people's financial business, but I know you can give back something. So let's do that. Can I get an amen? All right, okay, that's fine, that's fine. I'm going to end up by saying that, again, we did have our second day of services, and we want to thank all those that participated, because around the country we did have, right now I believe the tally is over 500 alums that did community service in the cities of Dallas, Baltimore, Atlanta, Birmingham, Los Angeles, just to name a few. So we're proud of that. And we're hoping that next year that will increase also. Dr. Johnson, again, thank you. Dr. Williams, thanks for your leadership. I leave you with, remember, we all make a difference, but it's the difference that we make that makes the difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wortham. I want to make sure that you all know that he is a 24-hour National Alumni President who has 24-hour access to me, and then sometimes he does not want the kind of 24-hour access he has to me, because as he indicated with my iPad, I will not hesitate to contact him at 10, 11, 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. if necessary. So please know that he does far more than what is publicly seen. As is most leaders, the real work is happening behind the scenes, so I appreciate you, Mr. Wortham. At this time, as I offer my closing remarks, they'll be short and they'll be brief. I first would like to thank our speaker today, Mr. Kirby. When speakers are brought to this institution, some are requested, some request us. I requested him. When we make decisions, we want to echo two glaring themes at this institution. Individuals that will speak to its glowing tradition. I need not have done that on a Founders Day celebration, knowing that these illustrious classes, knowing that the National Alumni President, knowing that the institution's first alumnus serving as the chairman of the Board of Trustees is here in our presence. Let's please, at this time, stand and thank not only the trajectory in the form of the speaker, Mr. Kirby, talking about aerospace engineering and leadership principles for the 21st century, But I also would like for us to stand and honor, because I don't think many alums know that this is the first alumnus to serve as the chairman of the Board of Trustees of Tuskegee University. Please stand for both our speaker as well as the chairman of the Board of Trustees, Charles Williams. I believe Mr. Wortham took a few of my remarks, but I'm going to take 5 minutes to reiterate. I make the claim, and I made this claim 2 days ago in a Daily Washington Word, that the greatest day pertaining to Booker T. Washington's arrival here at Tuskegee University was not necessarily July 4th, 1881, when he founded it, but it was in the days prior to July 4th, 1881. For it was in those days that he did the recruiting for the 30 students. It was in those days that he came and scouted out the property. It was in those days that he made the radical move of taking newly emancipated, newly freed individuals who were enslaved, and said and made the value proposition that those same skill sets that you are likely still using for your former masters, on July 4th, 1881, you will be able to now use those skill sets to get you a degree and move into intellectual and entrepreneurial independence. More importantly, with this knowledge of both the heart, head, and hands, you're going to move to economic independence. This is what I offer is Booker T. Washington's most glaring achievement. Formerly enslaved, rose to the ranks of being a teacher, a principal, a founding president, trained at the hands of General Samuel Armstrong at Hampton Institute. Make no mistake, Booker T. Washington was not leading this institution in a vacuum. You know, it's very easy to see a public figure and you think that, hey, he's by himself. Oh, but Booker T. Washington had a great deal of support backing him. When he stood strong because he knew who was supporting him. When he stood strong, he knew how he was trained. When he stood strong, he knew the many, many, many countless of individuals that supported not only what he did, but what he would do over a 34-year period. This man, Booker T. Washington, will forever be teaching Tuskegee University if we would but listen. His works, his deeds speak for themselves. And on this, the centennial year since his passing, and I'll be having his family members at Great Collins today, I just simply ask you to do this with respect to the founding principal and president of Tuskegee University. It's 3 words that he spoke of quite earnestly, fervently, and repeatedly. Students, you may see this on my Instagram or social media or Twitter, but I use this quote. This quote is beside my bed, and it's how I live my life every day, all day. Let examples answer. Booker T. Washington did not talk, did not offer words without accompanying works like these wonderful alumni who did today. Well, these alumni classes offering those numbers, you can say whatever you want to say. Yeah, I tell you what, you put forth those kinds of numbers to a president, you just give to a president. You're offering a word with an accompanying work. Never ever offer words without accompanying works. And this is what Booker T. Washington meant when he said, let examples answer. They want to know what I'm doing in Macon? Let examples answer. He didn't have a website then. We have websites now. Go to the website, let examples answer. You want to know how I built buildings from a hen shed? all the way to the buildings that were built. Go look at them. They are still here and they're still in existence. Let examples answer. You want to know how many students I'm bringing to the institution? I recruited 30 before my first day, and when I died, I had 1,500. Let examples answer. You want to know, can he fundraise and can he have influence at the highest levels of examples, at the highest levels of government, and have influence with individuals beyond the scope and pale of a narrow province? Look at the record and let the examples answer. You want to know, in how many circles am I regarded? HBCUs, predominantly white institutions. He received honorary degrees from Harvard University and all types of institutions. Booker T. Washington would say, let examples answer. When you want to know why we're still reading about him, talking about him, it wasn't because of the many speeches, because many of us hadn't read them. Many of us hadn't read his correspondence, and many of us hadn't read his speeches. But why are we still talking about him? Because his examples still answer. I echo my colleague who spoke today when he said about living and learning and leading and leadership. He principally spoke about let your work speak for you. Don't ever get into words. Do as Booker T. Washington. Let examples answer. At this time, I'd like for everyone under the sound of my breath to stand for the singing of the Tuskegee song, and then remain standing for the benediction, and remain standing for the recessional. And this includes students, and while our alumni, our distinguished alumni are here, we do not process or move out of the vicinity until this platform exits. We stand for the singing of Mother Tuskegee. We stand for the benediction, and we stand and we do so dutifully and silently. And we wait until the members of this distinguished platform has properly recessed from this institution, along with its faculty. We thank you in advance for complying with this tradition at Tuskegee University.
The memorial service for deceased alumni will take place immediately following these services in the University Cemetery. Let us receive the benediction. And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon you and give you peace.